Did LeBron build a super team? I feel like that is the talk of the town right now. NBA offseason's going on. Nobody cares about literally anything outside of the LeBron signing to Philadelphia. Everything else is old news. Nobody's signing anywhere else. People were like, yo, LeBron's holding up the market. It's been a few days and nobody's been signing anywhere. It's been kind of annoying. I want to see where a few other guys are going, like Jonathan Kuminga. I want to see certain guys re-signing, like Draymond Green. I want to see what unrestricted free agents like Peyton Watson are going to end up doing, Jalen Duren. I don't know, man. It still could be a very interesting offseason, but for right now, the talk of the town is, did LeBron build a super team? Is he ring chasing? Is he going to pass Michael Jordan as the GOAT if he wins 2 championships in Philly with these 2 years that they got? Because, hey, if he's got a super team, he might as well win, right? Right? Anyway, let's talk about it, man. Some people are arguing, all right, nobody called this a super team before 42-year-old LeBum showed up. Y'all LeBron haters call him LeBum, LaTrash, say he should retire, say he will ruin any organization that he'll be on. But in the same breath, y'all are saying that he's on a super team. But nobody was calling it a super team before he joined, right? Now look, if you want to have a conversation about this in the comments, please use logic. Don't call me a bronzexual. Don't call me an idiot. I'm here to have a genuine discussion. What do I think? I think it's a super team. But I'm going to get into why I think that. But I also want to get into the brains of people who are like, it wasn't a super team before, but now LeBron's on there who's 42 years old, and everyone's calling him LaTrash, LeBum, all this kind of stuff. So, why is it a super team? Why is it not? A good argument for why it's not, Joel Embiid the last 3 seasons played 39 games, 19 games, and 38 games. My man can't even play half a season. Sometimes he can't even play a quarter of a season. So argument right there, their MVP from a few years back. He hasn't been an all-star for 2 years, can't barely play. That's your starting big man, dude. Adem Bona is your second big man. I think that kind of takes away a little bit from that like super team, at least in the image that we have, right? Like making this look like a super team, like if you just add a bit of context there, right? So cross Embiid off. For those of you who are logical and can still say LeBron's still a top 25 player, then I can talk with you. For those of you who call him LeBron LaTrash, say he should retire, say he'll ruin any organization he's on, you're creating a double standard here. You're saying that LeBron is garbage, but you're also saying that him joining this team makes it a super team. Make up your mind on which one is the right answer there before you have that conversation in the comments. All right, I think LeBron's still a top 25 player in the league, so I'm not going to argue. I'm not going to argue that LeBron doesn't add to the super team of this. Jaylen Brown, what was he, 5th at MVP voting last year? What did the man average? Like 28 points per game? Now look, man, Boston traded him away for barely anything. And there was reports that came out that they didn't even think he was their best player last year. Statistically, he may have like had an argument, but I heard, they were riding Derek White. They were saying he was way better, for the team aspect, you know what I'm saying? But the man, I mean, it's kind of hard to argue with 28 points per game, 6th in MVP voting, All-Star, 2nd team All-NBA. I think Jaylen Brown, like if you don't think that he adds to the idea of a super team, you're not very intelligent. VJ Edgecombe, obviously he was a rookie. I think he came 3rd in Rookie of the Year voting, if I am not mistaken. Perhaps somebody else did. I don't know. Let's check it out. VJ. What? Oh, VK Beachum. Who the heck are you? I never heard of you, my man. We're here for VJ Edgecombe. Yeah. Homie averaged 16 points a game, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. Honestly, well-rounded for a small guard. And shot 43% from the field, 35% from 3. I expect those to go up unless he goes into that sophomore slump. And he did come 3rd in Rookie of the Year. So, good rookie. Doesn't really add to the whole super team conversation. And then Tyrese Maxey. He was All-NBA 3rd team. He also averaged 28 points per game. I think you can very clearly say the definition back in the day of a super team, like Wade, Braun, Bosch, was 3 All-Stars, 3 All-NBA type players. I mean, last year, Braun was an All-Star. Even though Embiid didn't fit that category, LeBron did. Jaylen Brown did. Tyrese Maxey did. So you got at least 3 All-Stars. You got 2 All-NBA players, Maxey and Brown. Braun was not All-NBA. Embiid was not All-NBA. You got 3rd in Rookie of the Year. I don't know that particularly matters for this conversation. So, all intents and purposes, I think we can agree that this should classify as a super team. But it kind of classifies as a super team with an asterisk on it. Because Jaylen Brown's a player that the Celtics gave up on. Like, they're like, you're not part of our future. even though you had a good season, we don't feel like you were the best player. There was like an analytics thing that came out from the Celtics where it was like he was the seventh most impactful player. And actually, the team was better when he was off the court. I saw a lot of those numbers as well. So when you contextualize it, outside of just on paper, Jaylen Brown's a good player. Boston threw him away for Paul George and 2 first-round picks, dude. Apparently, the league did not value him the way we thought that he would be valued. So in the NBA sphere, at least the front offices, at least Brad Stevens, Jaylen Brown isn't who they say he is. Tyrese Maxey's a young player. He's 25. I don't know that you could, like, where would he rank as far as, like, top players in the league? I think he ranks outside of the top 10 easily. Top 15, top 20. Like, what classifies super team as far as, like, certain individual players? Obviously, he was third team All NBA. So you could argue he's a top 15 player, but because of injuries, some players like Steph Curry didn't make it. So does Tyrese drop? Like, where would Tyrese rank for you? Number 20 in the league? Maybe. So we're talking about a top 20 player with him. Jaylen Brown was definitely a top 10 player this year, but in general, he was hardly ever even considered the best player on his team. People gave that to Tatum. So Jaylen Brown is maybe a top 15 player, top 20 player as well. Braun, a lot of people have lowered them on their ranking, saying he doesn't play defense anymore. Embiid, people say he doesn't play defense anymore. He's always hurt. So if we have 4 guys who are outside of the top 10, maybe outside of the top 15, is it really a super team? And I think the best argument for this is people were not calling this a super team before. People were not saying, oh, they're guaranteed to win the championship. What are the odds right now? Odds to win NBA championship. Because it goes San Antonio, Oklahoma, New York, Philly. So people don't even think, like, the odds makers, okay? People don't think that they're better than New York, so they're not even the best in their conference. And they're not better than the 2 juggernauts out west. Wouldn't a super team classify the team who is at the top, the tip top? I'm pretty sure Miami was heavily favored to win a championship in 2011 when they had their super team. When Braun went back to Cleveland with Kevin Love and Kyrie Irving, I don't know that Kevin Love, in my opinion, classifies as a super team type player, especially with what we saw out of him. I know it's easy for a player to put up good stats on a bad team. Like, I think we've seen Anthony Simons, who's on the Philadelphia bench, average 20 before. But does that make him that elite of a player? I don't think so. So I think it's a little difficult sometimes to narrow down what's a superstar, what's a star, what makes a super team. Because I would argue the Cavs team was not a super team. I don't think Kevin Love fits that category, and maybe you can prove me wrong, but prove me wrong with facts. Yeah, Anthony Simons averaged 21, 22, 19. Like, he had a very good stretch of averaging multiple points a game, but nobody would dare call him a star. He never even won awards for anything. How many did Kevin Love win? I mean, I know Kevin Love was an all-star, and maybe being an all-star is all you guys need as proof to determine. I mean, he was a 5-time all-star. Was that all before Cleveland? I'm sure there was a few in there. He was a 2-time all-star before Cleveland. Then 3-time all-star before Cleveland. And then he was a 2-time all-star with Cleveland. And he wasn't actually an all-star the first 2 years he was with Kyrie and Braun. So it wasn't really until Kyrie left that Kevin Love jumped to all-stardom. And hey, for those of you who want to say the Eastern Conference is trash during that time period, that was the reason Kevin Love was an all-star a lot of those years. Is because the conference was just a lot weaker. So you could just make us, like, I feel like there's arguments that can go both ways. Is Kevin Love really that good? Or was the Eastern Conference so bad that he managed to get a couple all-star votes in there? He was 11th in MVP voting the year before he joined Cleveland, though. I don't know if that means anything. He was All-NBA second team and All-Star. I can see why he averaged 26. Like, that's not an easy thing to do. But then he plummeted down to 16, 19, 17, 17, 17. I mean, I don't know. You could argue it, I feel like, in multiple different ways. Who Kevin Love was before. That's not really the point of this. I feel like I'm getting off on a tangent. I would argue this is a super team, and if they don't win, I would consider this a massive failure. LeBron in a 76ers jersey, and this coming from a LeBron fan, will be looked at as Michael in a Wizards jersey, Shaq in a Suns jersey, Shaq in a Celtics jersey, Shaq in a Cavs jersey, Karl Malone in a Lakers jersey, Gary Payton in a Lakers jersey. It won't look good. Allen Iverson in, like, the Nuggets jersey. Like, there's some jerseys that just don't look good on players. And even though, like, in the picture, it looks good, right? But if the man never accomplishes anything in the jersey outside of maybe an all-star appearance, if he gets booted out before winning the Larry O'Brien in these 2 years, this will be an ultimate failure. It'll be an abject failure. It'll be weird when we look back at this that LeBron was on a different team. It'll the whole thing will just be a big bummer, honestly. If he wins a championship, it'll have been worth it. Obviously, people will still make their arguments that this is a super team. It was stacked for them. Just remember, the odds right now are not favoring them. And funny enough, Boston is right behind them, even though they got rid of Jaylen Brown. So Boston gave up arguably their best player last year, arguably, and they're still number 5 in the odds. So you tell me, is this a super team? Are people over exaggerating it? Just a 42-year-old LeBron and Embiid with all their injury history eliminate them from being a super team contender? I don't know. I'm just here to ask the questions. I'm here to try to be logical about it and not. A lot of y'all call me brainwashed. A lot of y'all call me, as I mentioned, a bronze sexual, all this kind of stuff. I love the NBA. I've been going back. I've been learning more about Jordan, Bird, all these guys, all these greats from back in the day, right? I'm not here to just have an agenda of LeBron's the greatest player of all time. I'm here to create genuine conversation because it's fun with y'all when y'all aren't insulting me and just dropping stupidity down in the comments. So I'm curious what y'all want to think about this. I call it a super team. I would say it's a big failure if they don't win. I think the biggest pressure on this team is on LeBron because he chose to join this team. If it was just Jaylen Brown, Embiid, VJ, and Maxey, the pressure would be to at least get out of the second round, hopefully. It's like y'all got Jaylen Brown now, who led the Celtics without Drew Holiday, Kristaps, Porzingis, Jason Tatum to a 2 seed in the East. Sure, they lost in the first round, but you added a player like that for Paul George. Expectations that you get a little farther than the year before, which was the second round. So, yeah, I think Braun pushes him over the edge. I think expectation was conference finals before Braun, and now that Braun is on there, if it's not, it's championship or bust. That's the way I look at it. And if he doesn't win in Philly, it's going to severely work against him, especially with Jordan fans, because people think he's constantly looking for the easy way out. If you win a championship, I feel like it drowns out a lot of the noise, especially if you do it in a cool way. For example, the Heat lost in 2011, and people were like, oh, maybe they're not as good as we thought they were. Maybe Bron's not as good as we thought he was. They went in 2012. I feel like 2012 is more satisfying because they lost in 2011. You know what I mean? 2013, the Ray Allen miracle shot. 2016, the 3-1 comeback. Like, if you do it in a cool way, people will almost forgive the circumstances. But like Kevin Durant in 2017, people haven't forgiven it because they basically, I think they went 15-1, 16-1 throughout the entire playoffs. That might have been 2018. One of those years they went like 16-1. And it was easy. Nobody even had a shot. It was not a good playoffs. So if you go to like 3 game 7s and like you have a buzzer beater, like people will forget the fact that it was a quote super team as long as you win in a cool way. So good luck, Bron.